So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Macintosh, who we are as a company, why we do the things that we do. There will be no quizzes or tests. I will not ask you questions that, put you on the spot. Then we'll play some music, just so I can kind of show you what our products can do. Macintosh Laboratories was started in 1949 by a gentleman named Frank McIntosh and his partner in crime, Gordon Gow, who was his best friend and partner in the business. The company was actually started in Silver Springs, Maryland, so not terribly far from here. They both worked for the government at that time, and they left and started Macintosh. And in 1952-53, they started building the factory up in Binghamton, New York. It's interesting that 70 years later, it was still the same issues. So they couldn't find real estate in Silver Springs or on the Metro DC area that was affordable, where they needed a big plot of land to build a factory. And they also, at that time, because of the Korean War and the Cold War being in full swing, they couldn't find engineers. We really want to build a legacy, a family legacy with our product. And we're very proud to be able to do that. And the way that we do that is use the best quality parts that we can find and build things the way Frank McIntosh and Gordon Gow felt they should be built. And we've retained that to this day. So when you look at Macintosh equipment, whether it's here or if you're out on the floor, it's a little easier to look at. We use things like stainless steel. We don't build aluminum chassis. Why don't we do aluminum? Because they warp. And so over time, with humidity, temperature changes, they can warp. We don't want our chassis to warp. The other thing that most people don't realize is that our products, all except for about 4 or 5 products, are hand-built in the United States in Binghamton, New York. We also do everything humanly possible to source all of our parts from the greater Binghamton area. One of the nice things about being in a high-tech college town area like Binghamton is that over the decades, little firms popped up that were making, whether it was capacitors or resistors or IC chips or, blank circuit boards that were local to us. And so we're able to source locally. And that benefits us in a number of ways, and one of the key ways that benefits us is that if during the course of a production run in any given month, like let's say today we run out of C2600s because we're missing the whatever XYZ capacitor, it's usually Mary Savage that does this, but Mary jumps in her car, drives about 3 miles down the road, and picks up a box of resistors and drives back to the factory. So we're not out of production very long. It just makes for a better experience for the consumer. And it also helps the dealers as well, because if they're scheduling a delivery or an installation, the way that installation works in our industry, it's all about efficiency, and you have to make sure that things are timely and getting done, plus you get to enjoy them as a consumer much quicker. We bend our own stainless steel. Every product that you see, whether it's metal, stainless, or if it's sheet metal that's painted, we bend it ourselves. It comes in sheets like plywood. It goes to the metal shop. There's guys in the metal shop that are bending and punching the holes in the stainless steel and the sheet metal. And then it goes from there to the next step in the line. We make our own circuit boards. So we're not buying the boards from anybody. We have a number of CNC machines. We do a lot of hand soldering. The bigger parts are hand soldered. So there's a little soldering area where they're all sitting around their tables on their test benches, and they're soldering all the circuit boards. Then it goes through the CNC machine with the real those that are like impossible for human beings to solder, or at least me. And it goes through the CNC machine, and all the little parts get put in, and then they test all those circuit boards, and it goes in the box, and it goes to the next step on the line. All the glass that you see, because we use glass face plates, we don't use plastic. We use glass face plates. The glass comes in just like sheet metal comes in, big sheets. And we have a glass cutting machine. It's water jet with garnet dust, and the glass goes into the machine and it cuts the face plates. The coolest part of this whole process, by the way, is the glass then goes to the silk screen shop. So as you can tell, the glass is not transparent. It's actually painted black on the back. It's silk screen, and all the lettering, everything is silk screen on the back of the glass. And they literally silk screen it like in shop class back in the 70s when you made your whatever Aerosmith t-shirt, whatever you made in shop class, it's silk screened just like that. You put the glass in the machine, you drop the ink, you run it back and forth. When it's painted, it goes on the shelf and dries, and then they do the next color. Even to the point where if I turn this off, and I know it's hard to see from where you're sitting, but all the lettering looks gold because there's gold leaf actually in the paint. That's the first coat that goes down. But when you turn it on and you backlight it, it's green. But we do that. We silk screen it all. We make it all, even the little side handles, we make that all in the metal shop. The other thing that you should be aware of is that we build our products to last. The company takes great pride in knowing that most people actually pass down their Macintosh equipment through generations. The guys and girls here see it all the time where somebody comes in and says, my grandfather or my grandmother, somebody passed away and they gave me their Macintosh, can you check it out and make sure that it still works, or maybe they need another piece in order to complete it, because literally sometimes one grandson gets the amplifier, the granddaughter gets the preamp, so each one has to get a piece to make the system all, but they see that all the time. And that's because of the quality of the parts that we use, and we do, like I said, design our products to last a lifetime. Our stuff is not cheap, we don't pretend that it is. But for those of us that not just work for the company, but own the product, those of you consumers that have owned it or know people that do, it's actually a great value. Part of the reason why is if you buy a Macintosh amp, you're not going to want to replace it anytime soon. Typically customers don't do that. They might do it if they want more power, so they might buy another one and go into bridge mode and buy amplify and do things like that. But it's not necessarily where you're going, this is great, but it's not satisfying me, or I'm not happy.